All right, so the brand new Samsung Galaxy S26 is finally here. And while everybody is, looking at the hardware, the design, all that stuff, it turns out the phone itself might just be the least interesting part of the whole story. Let's dig into why that is.
So we really have to kick things off with this quote from 9 to 5 Google because, wow, it just perfectly sums up this feeling that so many of us have, right? It just feels like we've hit this point where new phones are just, well, a little bit boring.
And this feeling, it actually has a name. People are calling it peak smartphone. It's this sense that all the huge, exciting leaps in phone hardware are kind of behind us, and now we're just getting these tiny little baby steps forward each year. But you know what? This feeling of stagnation is the perfect place to start because it really sets the stage for what Samsung is actually trying to pull off here.
I mean, this slide right here just lays the whole problem bare. If you compare the S25 to the new S26, what do you see? A slightly bigger battery, okay, and a minor little chip bump. But then, look at the price. The base model is $100 more expensive. And why? It's not for some giant leap in technology. It's because Samsung literally just removed the cheaper 128GB option. So you're forced to pay more for storage, not for real innovation.
Okay, but to be fair, it is not all the same old, same old. While those base models feel kinda stagnant, the S26 Ultra, it does have one genuinely new and, I gotta say, very cool piece of hardware that we need to talk about.
It's called the privacy display. And the best way to think about it is like one of those physical screen protectors that people buy, to stop the person next to you on a plane from snooping on your screen, except this time it's built directly into the display hardware itself. You can just turn it on and off with a single tap.
And how it works is just brilliant. The screen actually has two different sets of pixels. Half of them are your normal wide-angle pixels that shoot light out in every direction, but the other half are special narrow-angle pixels designed to beam light straight forward right at you. So when you hit that button to turn on privacy display, the phone just turns off all the wide-angle pixels. It's an incredibly clever hardware trick, and honestly, when you see it in person, it is seriously impressive.
So that brings us to the big question. Is one really clever screen feature enough to carry an entire flagship phone line? For most people, probably not. And that's because the real upgrade, the true game changer, isn't happening in the hardware at all.
The real story of the S26, the thing we should all be paying attention to, is Samsung's massive bet on something called Agentic AI. This is the reason that the seemingly boring hardware suddenly starts to make a whole lot more sense.
Samsung's own CEO, TM Rowe, he laid out their whole vision with this quote. The goal here is to get us to stop thinking of AI as some flashy feature you use once in a while. They want us to start treating it as the fundamental infrastructure of the entire phone. It's not just another app. It's basically the new operating system.
So what on earth is Agentic AI? Well, it's all about moving from a reactive assistant that just answers your questions to a proactive one that actually understands your context and can do things for you. It's an agent acting on your behalf across the entire device.
Now, that all sounds great in a press release, but how does it actually work day to day? Well, this is where a huge new partnership comes in, and it completely changes the game for what a voice assistant can do on your phone.
I want you to meet HeyPlex. That's the new wake word for the Perplexity AI, which is now baked into the Galaxy S26 at a level we have just never, ever seen before from a third-party company. This is not just another app you download from the App Store.
Let's just take a really simple task, like scheduling a meeting. The old way is, well, it's a mess of taps, right? You gotta find the calendar app, you open it, you tap the little plus button, you type in all the details, you hit save. The new way? You just say, "Hey Plex, schedule a meeting with David tomorrow at 2 p.m. about the Q3 budget." And poof, it's just done.
And the only reason this is even possible is what you're seeing right here, deep operating system level access. Perplexity is the first non-Google company to ever get this on a Samsung phone. It can read from and write to your native apps, your calendar, your notes, with zero setup required from you.
And that brings us to the single biggest benefit, the holy grail of productivity. No more app hopping. The AI can pull info from an email and create a calendar event from a single voice command. It creates a truly seamless experience.
But Samsung's vision is even bigger than just that one partnership. They know that not everyone uses the same AI for every single task. So their whole strategy is to build an open system that lets multiple AIs actually work together. This data right here shows you exactly why an open system matters so much. No single AI model gets more than 23% of what people ask for.
We all naturally switch between different AIs depending on what we're trying to do, and Samsung is building its operating system to reflect how we actually use this stuff in the real world. So the crucial takeaway here is this. Samsung doesn't want you to see your phone as just a grid of apps anymore. They want you to have a coordinated team of AI agents, Bixby for device control, Google's Gemini, and now Perplexity, with their own Galaxy AI acting as the conductor of the whole orchestra. But of course, giving an AI this much power, this much access to our personal data, that raises some pretty big questions. A level of convenience like this inevitably comes with a trade-off. Now, for their part, Samsung points to its long-standing security platform, Knox. They really emphasize that the Knox Vault creates this dedicated, secure hardware environment. Think of it like a digital safe that's completely separate from the main system, all to protect your most sensitive data. But it all leaves us with one final, and I think really critical question. As AI becomes the literal infrastructure of our devices, acting on our behalf, we have to start asking, who is the agent and who is the one being acted upon? That's the question that's going to define this whole next era of computing.